Greetings, members and industry stakeholders, and welcome to our ECA Procore webinar, Driving Operational Excellence Through Technology and Accounting Integrations. My name is Matt Schellenberger, Director of Corporate Development at the ECA, and it's a pleasure to be your MC this morning. Today, we're pleased to have over 30 members and industry stakeholders in attendance, all from the comfort of your homes or your offices. Some housekeeping notes to begin. Please note that for the duration of the session, you will be muted with your video turned off. Should you wish to interact during the session, we ask that you use the chat function found at the bottom right of your Zoom window. There you can write comments and interact with your fellow attendees. Should you wish to ask a question during the event, we ask that you use the Q&A function found at the bottom right of the Zoom window. We'll make every effort to get to as many questions as we can. Now I'd like to introduce these two handsome gentlemen that are sitting here with us today. First, we have Blake Johnson from Procore. Blake Johnson has held a variety of positions in the construction industry with over a decade of experience in project management and finance. As a senior strategic product consultant at Procore, he utilizes his extensive construction experience to offer guidance and best practices to key customers for the software's onboarding tools. Welcome, Blake. Give a wave. Next, I'm pleased to introduce Kyle Consrada. Kyle is the Vice President of Finance and Administration at Keller Construction. Since joining Keller in 2017, he has driven a digital transformation, implementing fully integrated software and systems to automate tasks, streamline workflows, and make real-time information mobile and easily accessible. Kyle believes that data and analytics will revolutionize the construction industry in the very near future, and that a significant competitive advantage will be gained by those prepared to collect and analyze the digital reflection of everything we do. Welcome to Kyle.
Thanks for having me.
So at this point, gentlemen, the floor is yours. Looking forward to the presentation.
Thanks, Matt. All right, Kyle, you want to kick us off here?
Sure, just give you a little bit of background on myself. I am a CA by trade. After school, I worked in public practice for 7 years. Did a lot of audits and review engagements on a lot of local construction companies. And then after about 7 years, I kind of got itchy and wanted to go into industry and kind of make a difference with systems and the way we operate and kind of bring a new approach to commerce. I worked in oil and gas equipment manufacturing for, I think, 4 years. Had some experience with ERP implementations with our head office here and a satellite office down in Houston. And then it just happened that a partner from my old firm knew the new president at Keller, and he mentioned he was looking for a guy to come in here and set up new systems, put my name forward, and now I'm here. In terms of construction technology, we started off 3 years ago with Procore. So that was the basis of our operational software. We wanted to give everybody in the field access to information and the ability to submit information back to the office in real time. And we don't want to be tethered to basically the server room in the office. We just brought out some drones. We're starting to do drone documentation. We do 360 photo documentation on site with HoloBuilder. That's integrated with Procore, and you can connect your RFIs through that virtual world, which has come in handy now, considering everything that's happened so far. A lot of people like having access, especially owners, without actually having to go out to the field, but they have the same experiences as being out there. In terms of research for how we got here, the approach I took was, instead of being office-centric, looking at the end user as really a consumer. So how do we serve our end users, clients, owners, stakeholders as effectively as possible? How do we give them the tools that they need? And the focus was the right tool for the right job for each individual. So how do we give them the best product out there? Do a bunch of research. I would look at Capterra. I would get into even Reddit, get into the forums and try to find people trashing software. And eventually, it came down to Procore. I couldn't really find too many people picking it apart. So that came to be kind of the natural choice for operational software. For accounting software, what I did was, after Procore, we determined that was the best operational software available for construction. And then what was important to me was full integration. So I wanted to keep that data pure, fluid, so it would flow through our entire enterprise software system, regardless of if it's Sage or if it's Procore. It needed to flow through seamlessly just through one system. So Procore and Sage had announced a partnership, I believe it was a year or two ago, where it became formalized, and they had divisions within each company, and their goal was to fully integrate the software as though it was one company. They've done a really good job doing that. So that's worked out really, really well for us. And with Procore being an open API and having all sorts of bolt-on solutions, you always have the opportunity to have the best niche solution. And if it's a software as a service model, if something better comes out, you drop that, you move on to the next one. So you have to be ready to be agile. You don't want to be forcing people to use software just because you invested X amount of dollars 5 years ago. You want to always have the best solution out there for your staff and team and construction partners.
Awesome. Thanks a bunch. My name is Blake Johnson. I'm a senior strategic product consultant with Procore Technologies. I have been with Procore for almost 5 years now. I'm based currently in our Vancouver office. I've been here for about a year. I think it'll be a year in January. Prior to that, I was in our Toronto office for about 8 months. And prior to that, I was in our Austin, Texas office for about 3.5 years, I think. Yeah, I was kind of one of the first 11 people to start that office. I believe now there are over 600 people there. I mean, obviously not in the office working from home, but hey, this is what it is. Prior to coming to Procore, I kind of held a variety of positions, again, as Matt said, in the construction industry. I started off as an intern while I was in college at the University of Texas. I then moved into an assistant estimator role, then an assistant project manager. Then I moved into a project management role, and then really kind of finished out my career there. I came to Procore because I saw this kind of gap in the market, right? And I saw all these amazing technologies out there, especially in the estimating world, right? With your digital takeoff softwares and things like that. But I didn't see really many offerings that really blew my socks off in the project management and the operational world. I was evaluating different software during that period, kind of the ending of my construction career. And I was also looking for another job. And in the process of evaluating software, I did see a job opening at Procore. 2 weeks later, I was actually working there. And then 4 years later, here I am. Maybe 5 years later, here I am. So a little bit about Procore. We are the #1 most widely used construction management platform on the planet. We began in 2002 with a mission to connect the office and the field. All right, we'll flash forward to today. We have over 8,000 customers in 125 plus countries, with 965,000 active projects on the Procore platform, comprising over 1.3 million users globally. We are a true platform. That means that we connect all project stakeholders through all phases of the construction life cycle. On a survey here in 2020, based on 600 Procore clients with average revenues between $0 and $1 billion, we have helped our clients realize significant time savings across all personas connected to the construction life cycle, as you can see here. Don't take my word for it, obviously. Here are a list of the Canadian customers that we have currently in all market segments. So you can see some pretty recognizable names here across the Canadian construction spectrum. These are, of course, all general contractors. We do have owners and subtrades as well. Here is our app marketplace, as Kyle so eloquently put earlier. We do have a rather robust offering, right, at Procore out of the box. But we do realize that there are niche solutions or point solutions out there that are integral to your business processes and systems, okay? And so we have made it a mission to integrate with them. And currently we have over 250 integrations with different software solutions globally. And we are always open to more integrations. So if you don't see something here, or if you are using something that you would love to integrate with Procore, please reach out to us. We would be more than willing to have discussions around that. we want to, from the minute you sign with Procore, we're committed to your success. That's evident in our support and our amazing customer success teams. So shout out to them. We were only ever built for the construction industry, and we will only ever be built for the construction industry. We are a purpose-built platform solution. We believe in, our mission is to connect everything and everybody on one platform in the construction industry. However, we want to be more than just a tech partner. We want to be an industry partner. And that's why we've partnered with different universities. We have partnered with nonprofit organizations in order to give back to the community and the construction community as a whole. And we run several diversity and inclusion initiatives as well. With that said, my spiel is now over. Let's go ahead and bring up some questions. I have prepared, or we have prepared rather, a list of kind of primer questions here for Kyle and myself. But again, as Matt said, if there are any other questions, please put them in the Q&A section. We will do our best to get to all of them. With that, Kyle, would you like to go ahead and maybe take this first question here? Are there any factors or driving forces in the industry today that accelerate the need for technology adoption? What are some of the potential issues that can arise from managing business operations via paper and Excel?
Yeah, so I think as we've all seen over the last few months, really how brittle our traditional supply chain is, especially in construction. So not just the physical supply chain, but in addition to that, data and how does that flow? Any bottleneck or any break in that link can disrupt projects, cash flow, and really every partner of a project is affected by that. So we can't afford to be tethered to a server anymore. Everybody needs to be somewhat autonomous, self-sufficient, have access to information as quickly as possible, and have the ability to submit information back to the project, to the team as quickly as possible. As a accountant and former auditor, seeing paper and Excel is quite scary just because of the amount of data corruption or loss and internal controls. If you have a cell calculated wrong, that can then go throughout the entire project and you can have huge financial issues. So having everybody able to access information without having to even VPN into the server, having it cloud-based, being able to communicate, people can work from home. Like for us, luckily, we put this stuff in place 2 years ago. So our operations with a lot of the shutdowns and a lot of the interruptions, we were relatively unaffected. It was business as usual. Everybody had access to documents, drawings, specs, video conferencing when necessary. We had most of our staff working from home. And they were just able to just switch same day, same hour, just go home and start working. And that was it. So, hearing anecdotally about other companies and, laptop shortages in the city, people could get laptops for 3 weeks or a month. We were unaffected. So we were very lucky to address this early on.
That's awesome. I didn't know about laptop shortages. That's something I never really thought about. I mean, of course, the toilet paper thing, but yeah, that's wild. I think, honestly, I know that we're not a construction company, we're a technology company, but I was also amazed at how quickly our offices were able to work from a completely office-based model to a work from home model as well. So yeah, that's great. Let's move on to the next here. What does an end-to-end construction management platform look like in practice? Where does accounting fit in?
So I don't look at it, the traditional model is you start off with the ERP, with the accounting system, you have that at the office, and then you work your way out. And whatever solutions then roll out to the field, that's just what it is, because that's all that's available for that accounting system. So the approach we took when we looked at the system and built it out was looking at it as almost like data harvesting. How do you get out to an action or a transaction that results in data? And how do you capture that quickly and accurately and then pull that back to home base? So we have our single source of truth is Sage 300 CRE. And the reason we went with that is it's a pretty standard system in the industry. So in terms of skill with employees, you're going to have a higher percentage of employees that are trained on Sage than other more niche solutions. The other benefit of that is the partnership with Procore. And that was really important to me, to make sure that there's long-term development and integration collaboratively. And it was really interesting because Sage, with their project management software, used to be a competitor and still are somewhat with Procore, but they recognize the power in these kind of a new model where you have bolt-on solutions, best in class, and you swap parts out as better solutions become available.
For sure.
So as you're bolting on these solutions out to the people in the field, what is something that they need to be comfortable with? It has to be engaging, it has to be highly adoptable. Because if you're giving them these touch points, they're not comfortable using them, they're going to be error prone, they're not going to use them, and it defeats the whole purpose of having kind of this integrated data system. So with that, Procore is a very good platform for connecting everything. So all of our operational information is tracked in Procore. Anything that relates to accounting, so change orders and commitments, even the budgeting, those link two ways between Sage and Procore. So whatever happens in Procore is automatically in Sage. There's no double entry. And in our database, we have standardization so that a vendor code means the same thing in all systems. Employee codes are the same thing in all systems, and there's very little risk of coming to year end and there's an audit and the auditors are saying none of this matches, and then it's a complete debacle. So having all that data in one place, like the interesting thing is we focus so much on accounting, and accounting is really just a subset of our operational data. It's the result of operations. So we're looking in the rearview mirror when we're focusing on accounting. We're looking at, okay, what happened, where there's so much more data in operations, and that gives us real-time idea of where we're going to end up rather than retroactively, oh, we shouldn't have done that because that cost us a lot of money. So by having it all in one system connected, you can see the correlation between what's happening in the field. If this happens, then what happened last time? What is the end result going to be? And the more data you capture, maybe we're not at the point where we have everybody's running off machine learning and AI and has very predictive, realistic or very accurate predictive analysis, but this data doesn't go anywhere. You're hoarding it and you're hoarding it, and the value of it as you're mining it down the road is exponential. So the more you have, when we have the means to really effectively mine it, you're going to have, companies that adopt this sort of model are going to be way ahead of the pack, and it's really hard for other people to catch up just because of that exponential growth.
Sure, 100%. I've always kind of spoke to the idea that it's really great to have your project managers and a project management system and your accounting staff and an accounting system. But, that was always a challenge prior to these integrations that we've started to build, just because there was always that risk of data corruption when it moved between systems, right? When you have a fully integrated system, that risk is not really, I hate to say eliminated, right? Because no risk is ever completely eliminated, but it's drastically reduced.
Yeah.
Right. So that gives you the confidence when you go to mine that data in the future, or to create those key performance indicators and measure yourself against them, that what you're actually viewing is that single source of truth. So well put. Let's go ahead and kind of get through ours, and then Daryl, I see your question there, man. We'll get to you. I promise you that. But I think we have a few more questions for Kyle here, and then we'll open it up to the group. But please do, everyone, keep putting your questions in there. Great stuff. Okay, Kyle, how has integrating your project management ERP systems improved your operational efficiencies?
So we don't have any double data entry. So when we set up a job in Sage, it syncs with Procore, and the budget goes two ways. With vendors live in Sage. The vendor records are in there, and those are imported or they connect with Procore. So any subcontracts and commitments, those are linked directly with Sage. It's really just a touch point, and behind the scenes, it goes into the accounting database. So people really doing it, interacting with it in Procore, they're not really in an accounting system, but it's effectively doing what an accounting system does. So having real-time access, even in the budgets. So Sage will sync transactionally. So you can see line item by line item, what's hitting the project as it's posted. And that's in the budget in Procore. So we're not relying on weekly reports or, giving them information way after the fact. So just having that integration keeps our data intact. We can see the correlation between operations and the resulting, financial results. Collaboration is much better with everybody between accounting and the field. There's less back and forth because the information is readily available and everybody's on the same page. There's no delay in reconciliations anymore. It's just live. Everybody is in the same system. They just have a slightly different view.
Excellent. Excellent. Okay. Next question. How long did it take to start seeing tangible benefits from linking your project management and enterprise resource planning systems?
I would say immediately. Just the risk mitigation of like we use Docusign and Procore. So our subcontracts, we used to mail them out or courier them out. We'd receive them back, they're marked up, we'd review the markups, remark it up, send it back. So that would go back and forth, potentially for a month. We have Docusign integrations with Procore. So we have the contract in there. We send it off to the subcontractor, it goes through Docusign. We're seeing turnaround time of, an hour, a day, 2 days, almost, I'd say over 90% are turned around within 3 days. So we have this paper trail of and really good document control of who looked at the subcontract, did they download it? Once it's signed, we have full control, it's auditable. If there's any sort of dispute that comes up, we have a lot of backup for what actually transpired. So that was a big thing, is risk mitigation. Change orders, change events is huge. Just anything that comes up with an owner or, potentially this is a problem down the road, it's logged as a change event. It's detailed, documented, there's backup, it can be linked to photos, specs. And that way it gives visibility to, say, our VP construction or our president. He can see what's coming down the line. And then just with the fluid workflow of Procore, when you have that change event, you either decide, it's done, don't worry about it, close it out, or yes, we have that record, this is an issue, push it into a change order, and then it flows through the rest of the system. But regardless whether or not the change event results in a change order, you're still capturing data. And at the end, you can say, these are issues that came up, they're good, but next time, this could bite us. So let's keep an eye on this thing.
Sure, 100%. Yeah, I mean, I really like that you touched on the cost automatically syncing through, and the efficiency of the workflow. Again, using another software partner there, Docusign, to streamline streamline the contract signing process, the buyout process, things like that. I remember back when I was a project manager, sending it out through mail, through courier, it could take a week, sometimes two, before you actually got an executed agreement. And within that time, sometimes, from time to time anyways, I would find that I would sometimes have contractors on site who did not have a fully executed agreement. And that is a massive source of risk, right? It also streamlines, I believe anyways, the contract negotiation process because it's in your inbox immediately, right? You can go back and forth with somebody and get these details hammered out in a much shorter period of time than it would have taken currently, or than it would have taken in the past, possibly resulting in cost savings, right? Because we all know that the volatility of the commodities markets nowadays, right? Steel, wood, that stuff hasn't seemed to go down in quite some time. It just keeps rising, right? And the quicker you can get a job bought out, the less risk I believe that you're going to incur or that you're going to be exposed to down the line. Okay. Would you say that the integrity of your data has improved since the integration?
Yeah, absolutely. So, a big requirement was we have a single source of truth. That's our SQL database. The financial side of things is controlled by Sage, but it's linked to Procore and there's the interconnected data. So with everything linked and standardized, we know that everything's speaking the same language. So something in one system means exactly the same thing in another system. And that goes back to, I call it data fluidity, where the information can flow kind of seamlessly between systems and not be siloed and not have to face translation and reinterpretation. What it also did was kind of what I alluded to earlier, was it gives you depth and breadth of data. So we're not just focused on the resulting financial data anymore. It's what is every piece, if we can capture as much information as possible about every transaction in the field, every action, we can start looking at what leads up to the ending financial result. So we have the ability to kind of time travel. We can look at a job, see what went wrong, and go back in time, look at the root cause, and learn from that. But by having everything standard to one database, everything is linked, and we don't have to worry about the integrity of the data. We know for sure that this transaction happened and this was the result. And that's just the nature of the workflow.
For sure, right on. Yeah, I do like the fact that, in a sense, the integration between Procore and Sage really does come down to your WBS, or whatever you call your work breakdown structure, your cost codes, types, phase codes, whatever you choose to call them. Those things are the conduit through which data flows. And if you have the job broken down the exact same way in each system, which you're pretty much forced to do with this integration, right? Then it does really provide you that level of granularity and insight, and then you can then really start to realize those lagging and leading indicators that determine your success or failure. All right.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. So what is the best piece of advice you would give to an organization looking to evaluate construction technology for their organization?
So I would say look at your end users as customers, as consumers, right? So when people roll out, you go to the app marketplace, just in general, like on your iPhone or your Android device, people are trying to sell you apps and they need engagement. It needs to be highly intuitive, very adoptable. And that's no different than in business or enterprise. You want your end user, your consumers actually engaged, using the module or using the app to its full capacity. So focus on really the entry points of data and the exit points of data. Who's touching it? It needs to be intuitive, right? So think about if you download, you get an Uber app or the Skip the Dishes app, you don't have to go through a 4-hour training module. You don't have to go through the help guide. It's very intuitive and you know how to function through it and you get what you need out of it. So it's that engagement that's key. Once you find these touch points that are ideal for your end user, and that could be anybody in the construction project, any of your partners, work backwards from there. If these are the best solutions based on research, Capterra or Reddit, anecdotally, how do you work back into one platform? So, Procore is that platform that plugs into, and then what plugs into Procore as a ERP accounting database is Sage. So work from the outside in. I think that's key. You need that engagement. Otherwise, your data is meaningless if people aren't going to buy in.
Absolutely. I mean, because let's face it, these systems are really just databases, right? And databases without data in them are inherently worthless, right? I do like the idea that, or the anecdote you said before about treating your end users as the actual customer, right? That's really important, because if your field staff or your project management staff is not going to use it, then it's a moot point altogether. All right, cool. All right, so now we've reached the Q&A session. So Kyle is off the hook, at least for my questions. So I think what we can do here is start with Daryl. And Daryl, I believe I can field this one for Kyle here. Daryl's question is, what would be a budget to implement Procore and Sage total enterprise system for a small trade contractor with 35 staff, 10 in office? So that was Daryl's first question. Daryl, that really kind of depends. I have the good fortune of not being a sales executive at Procore, meaning I do not have to talk about money, other than I don't have to talk about the money that could potentially change hands between our two organizations here. But I can tell you that our pricing model is really based upon several different key factors, right? Annual construction volume. It's based on kind of the packages that you buy through Procore. We do have the ability to kind of mix and match solutions, right, within Procore. And then of course, that would also depend on whether or not you already have Sage 300 or Sage 100 and things like that. So Daryl, I would encourage you, and believe me, our fearless marketing team has probably already taken down your information. So you will probably receive a phone call from us, or feel free to reach out. Just go to procore.com, or feel free to reach out to me and I can put you in touch with somebody who can kind of walk you through that in a much more accurate fashion. And Daryl's second question here, more of a follow-up question really, is what is the typical implementation time for Procore? And Daryl, that does really kind of depend, but luckily I used to be an implementation manager at Procore a long time ago when I first started. And for somebody like yourself, I would say anywhere between 30, 45 days, maybe 60 days total, right? To get you completely up and running, right? Now that said, when I say 30 to 65 days, somewhere in there, 60 days, somewhere in there, that's not going to be, basically, it's not going to be involving your entire team. Usually what we like to do is take a key group of stakeholders here within your organization and get them trained, right? Get them to be the kind of the product internal experts for your team, so that then you can roll it out to your team in a manner that you see fit. We call it the kind of the train the trainer approach, right? So I hope that answers your question there. If not, feel free to ask a follow-up one. And I do believe here, let's see if we have any chats here. I think we do. All right. Okay, this one's from Les. So, has the integration with Quickbooks improved in the last 12 months where double entry is no longer required at any stage of the PM process? Can estimated and actual costs be tracked by type? Labor, material, sub, other when using Quickbooks? Les, the answer is no, because QuickBooks doesn't really have a concept of cost types, and those are what those labor, material, sub, and other are, in the same sense that Procore does, right? They have a much simpler view on work breakdown structure. That's why you have to kind of expand your cost code type offering or cost code offering to encompass those. So you can actually track labor, material, sub, other. You just have to have a different cost code for it, as opposed to being able to break one cost code out into several different cost types. John McNichol here has a question as well. He asks, is there a dashboard that gives visibility to the integrated data, total job data, finance, budget variance, project final expense, etc.? Yes, in a matter of speaking, there is, John. It's just we can create a slew of different or you can actually create a slew of different dashboards that would kind of show the amalgamation of that data within Procore. Again, you are getting all of those costs that are being incurred in your QuickBooks system or in your ERP system that is being pumped into the Procore budget, provided that you do have a compatible system with an integration. So absolutely yes. Do we have any other questions there?
I think there's one more from Tim Coughlin in the Q&A.
Got it. Tim, what are the benefits to a subcontractor if the GC is using Procore? I think Kyle and I can both probably touch on this, but one of the things that I like to say is that, Procore is meant to be your system of record, right? Would you want to use somebody else's system as your own system of record? I would probably imagine that the answer would be no. Yes, if your general contractor is using Procore, you're going to be entering information into their system, but you're also going to be entering the information directly into your system, right? I think one of the key benefits of Procore is that your entire team is on the same page. Collaborating with outside users is really just the icing on the cake, right? The cake is that your team is all aware of what's going on in real time. Kyle,
so from a high level, having everybody on the same platform is really important. As cliche as it is, some people are saying data is the new currency. Well, in order for that to happen, people need to be on the same platform and recognize the same monetary system. So having everybody in the same system with owners, sub-trades, GCs, really everybody, they have access to all the information. There's lower risk for everybody. And it also leads to faster payments. So when there are changes on drawings, the subcontractor is notified immediately. So they are not going out there, doing the wrong kind of work and then having to go out there, remobilize and fix it up again. So they save time, they reduce their risk. Subcontracts lead to invoicing, lead to going straight into accounting, proper approval process, and then it's paid. We're paying pretty much, about 99% of our payments are EFT. Our invoices are electronic. And Procore makes that really easy, and we're noticing a lot of subcontractors are saying, there's resistance up front of not wanting to use it, and then I've heard several times we'll come to our superintendents after and say, thank goodness we use this. This saved us so much time, easily days, and rework. And I'm sure the owner the owner of these trade partners are very happy. Their risk is mitigated and they're going to get paid faster. So I think the more people realize that and get integrated into a platform, there's really not going to be any more bottlenecks unless people aren't participating in that platform. But that's going to play out, and it's either you join the crowd and the industry, or you're going to get left behind.
For sure, for sure. I think we have some more questions here in the chat. This one's from Ryan, and Kyle, I think you would be the best one to kind of speak to this one, but he asks, if we have staff with limited computer literacy, should we move to a Procore type system?
Yeah, absolutely. We have a lot of staff that haven't really used apps before, but they found it very intuitive. And the big thing is not having people frustrated right at the start. And that was a bit of a hurdle with some past experience, and people, we struggled with previous systems. So having this roll out and convincing people this is the best tool for you, and trying our best to follow through. And I think everybody saw that, we did what we thought was right, and they're seeing the benefits of that now. So yeah, participation is huge, and everybody's really buying in. And then, even the biggest detractors up front are some of the biggest cheerleaders now, and they're pushing this because it makes their life easier if everybody's on that platform.
For
so
sure.
It's highly, highly adoptable. There's a lot of self-serve help. So you can go in and watch videos. The help sections are always up to date. They have unbelievable support. I've never dealt with support like that before, where you have something resolved within minutes. So within the app, the guys can hit a button. It would connect them with support of Procore. Procore support can see the person's screen. So the guy's not trying to explain what he's looking at. They're actually on there. They can walk them through it. So giving them that security so that they don't have to call head office and say, I'm struggling, where a lot of people aren't going to do that. They're just going to kind of fake it till they make it sort of thing. So giving the people to be self-sufficient and learn it on their own, I think is really empowering, and increases the adoption rate.
For sure. I mean, a lot of people, in addition to the world-class support, thank you very much for that compliment, Kyle. Thank you. We try really hard there. I do want to say that support, those are not contractors. That is 100%. Those are 100% Procore employees. They get Procore paychecks. They are based in Procore, living rooms now, all across the United States and in Australia as well. It is 24 hours a day, 6 days a week, 18 hours a day on Sunday. So if you are working, they're working. Let's just put it that way, right? We, in addition to that support, Ryan, we also offer a list of kind of qualification or certification courses that almost any persona on a construction project can actually complete. A lot of people use them as continuing education. You even get little badges for your LinkedIn and things like that. So Procore is very easy to use. I like to say, especially the mobile application and for field use and things like that, I like to say that if you can operate Facebook, you can operate Procore, right? And now, so I obviously a bit of a homer in this one, but I want to say that yes, I believe that not moving to some sort of cloud-based system or even server-based system that does collect data in one spot could possibly be a detriment in the future. Now, Jeff Williams here asked a question. He asked, does Procore offer any inventory management and real-time inventory feedback modules? No, Jeff, Procore doesn't offer like an inventory management platform out of the box. However, I believe we do have trade partners that would be able to help you in that aspect. Thought I was going to sneeze there for a second. Okay. All right. Now, Tim here has a question for Kyle. Kyle, how's Procore help Keller with project completions and getting deficiencies cleaned up quickly and efficiently? What has client feedback been like?
Our clients love it. It's very clean. it's very easy to communicate with your trade partners of what the issue is. Just as an example, we worked on the Champion Pet Foods project with Great Construction based out of Kentucky. It's a 400,000 square foot pet food facility in Atchison. The deficiency list, as amazing a job as everybody did, just inevitably was a project that size. We had 900 deficiencies, and with I don't know how many partners we had, probably 13 different partners. And I talked to some of our supers after, and they said, if we didn't have this system cataloging all of these things where everybody had access to it, where they knew exactly where it was, we would have to walk around this facility, 400,000 square foot facility, holding people's hands and pointing it out. This is an issue, and then following up, and then following up again. They said it would have taken them probably an extra week or 2 weeks to do it. And at the same time, the owner would be getting frustrated, seeing the same issues not getting resolved. So, we worked with Circle K, Suncor for Petro-Canada, and a lot of their project managers internally have access to our Procore project. So as they're seeing things come up, they're putting in efficiencies, they're monitoring things so that it's not the end of a project, we're turning it over and they're saying, whoa, hold on, what about all these issues? It's dealt with proactively while just on site. And everybody it's much more efficient, and everybody ends up with a much better product.
Nice.
Excellent. I think you worked through all the questions.
Right on.
So yeah, I want to just give a big thanks to both Kyle, Blake, for taking the time today and sharing your insights, particularly Kyle from a customer level on how that Procore is supporting your workflow. Procore has been a fantastic partner of the ECA since they've really come into our neighborhood, and Sanjeev, who has since left, is a good friend of ours, and I know they've supported a lot of our events, and I know they're obviously working with a ton of our members. So big thanks to Procore for all your support as well, and to Blake specifically for today. We've recorded today's session, so if you had somebody on your team that you think should take a look at this information or know a bit more about what Procore and its services are, we'll have that up and available here in the near term. I'll also mention that we have another webinar coming up next week. It's, I think, our last major event of 2020, and it's on November 25th. It's entitled Business Development and Growth, Finding Opportunities in 2021. It features Ted Curry from Insight, Nassim Bashir from Williams Engineering, Jody Waco from Kentiro, and Carly Gilcher from Clark Builders. So details of that are on our website. You can also register. It is complimentary as well, but just so we can get you the link, if you're interested in that, please go to our website. So with that, thank you all for joining us today. Big thanks again to Blake, Kyle, for your insights, and I wish you all a pleasant day.
Thank you very much, Matt. Thanks,
guys.
Thank you all.